I hear it again the moment my tires roll onto the white line. Not the click of my turn signal, not the relay under the dash. This is a thin, bright sound that feels like it happens inside my teeth, like someone taps a glass right behind my eyes. The light ahead stays red. I glance left and right. Cross traffic is empty. It is late, but not dead. The city still breathes. A bus size 3 blocks away. A dog barks once, bored. I look down at the instrument panel. Everything normal. I press the brake harder. I tell myself it is stress, that I am overtired, that my jaw is clenched. The light does not change. A car pulls up behind me and stops. Its headlights flood my rearview mirror. The driver does not honk, not yet. I wait for the usual cycle. Red, green, yellow, red. I count in my head. The pedestrian signal across the way shows a white walking figure for nobody. It counts down from 10, steady and indifferent. When it hits 0, it restarts at 10 without the traffic light budging. My throat tightens. I lean forward and squint at the signal housing like I can shame it into working. I roll my window down. Cold air crawls in. The click seems louder with the glass open, which makes no sense. It is sharper, more intimate, as if the night itself is making it. The car behind me flashes its brights once, a polite warning. I lift a hand in apology without turning. I pull out my phone and start recording, because if I am hearing a phantom sound, at least I can prove the light is stuck. I angle the camera at the red signal and the empty intersection. The screen shows the same red circle, glowing like a hell breath. I say, out loud to nobody, the light is broken. The red does not change. The click does not stop. I drive this route every night home from work. I know the usual quirks. I know which street lamp flickers and which manhole cover clinks under my tires. I have never seen this light stall, and I have never heard this sound. A horn blares behind me now, impatient. I flinch, shoulders lifting. I can run it. No cross traffic. No one around, but my hands refuse to move from the wheel. Something about that red feels personal, like a finger held up inches from my face. My phone buzzes with a notification. A message from an unknown number. Admit it. I stare at it. The words are plain, no punctuation. My skin prickles. I look in the rearview mirror again. The driver behind me is a silhouette, nothing distinct. I type back, who is this? The response comes immediately. You hear it too. My mouth goes dry. I look around the intersection as if the sender is hiding in the shadows. A man stands on the far sidewalk near the crosswalk pole, half under the weak halo of a street lamp. I do not notice him at first because he is still, hands in the pockets of a dark jacket, posture casual like he's waiting for a ride. He raises his head and looks straight at me. I feel it like a hand on the back of my neck. I cannot see his eyes well, but I know he is looking at me. The angle is too exact. My phone buzzes again. Say it out loud. The man on the sidewalk shifts his weight. He glances down the empty street as if checking for traffic. Then he looks back at me and smiles, a small friendly curve like we share a mild joke. The car behind me honks again, longer. My heart pounds hard enough to move my shirt. I roll my window up. The click is still there. I am not someone who believes in signs. I believe in broken timers and faulty sensors. I believe in bad luck only as a name for statistics. But the message on my phone sits heavy in my palm, and the red light refuses to change, and the sound keeps tapping at my teeth. I swallow and speak again, louder. The light is broken. The man across the street lifts his hand in a small wave, like he is greeting a neighbor. My phone buzzes, not met. I drop the phone into my lap. My fingers are cold and clumsy. I consider backing up, turning around, taking another route, anything. But the car behind me is too close now, and the curb on my right is tight, and the intersection feels like a locked room with the sky for a ceiling. The man steps off the curb and starts walking toward the crosswalk. He does not press the button. The pedestrian signal still shows the white walking figure, counting down, restarting, like it is stuck in its own loop. He reaches the middle of the crosswalk and stops. He stands directly in front of my lane, just far enough that my headlights light him cleanly. He is maybe mid-30s, clean-shaven, ordinary face, the kind of person I would forget in an hour. He wears no hat. His hair is neat. He looks like he belongs in a grocery store line. He holds his hands up, palms out, not as a threat, more as an easy calming gesture. I crack my window an inch. The cold air comes in like a warning. He speaks in a normal voice that carries through the glass anyway. You can go once you say it. My breath catches. I say, what are you talking about? He tilts his head, as if listening for the click. Then he nods like he hears it too. You hear that? Nobody else does. You keep thinking it is mechanical. It is not. My hands tighten on the wheel until my knuckles ache. The driver behind me lays on the horn. The sound fills my car, blunt and angry. The man in the crosswalk does not flinch. He looks over his shoulder at the honking car, then back to me, still smiling. He raises a finger, gentle. It is simple. You admit something out loud. The red goes away. The click is very loud now. What? I whisper, admit what? He shrugs as if I asked what time it is. Anything true that you are refusing to say? I laugh once, sharp and involuntary. It sounds wrong in my own ears. This is insane. He nods again, patient. Ness, I look at the traffic signal, willing it to change. It stays red, steady and watchful. My phone buzzes again in my lap. He knows? I grab the phone and stare at the screen. Unknown number. I look up at the man. Are you texting me? He spreads his hands. You have the phone. You tell me. I look down. Another message arrives. Tell him about the keys. My stomach drops so fast I feel dizzy. The keys, they are in the ignition. A ring of keys that I carry every day. House key, car key, office key, a small brass one for the mailbox, and one key that does not belong to anything I admit owning. A blank key. No cuts at all. It sits on the ring like a mistake. I have told myself a dozen stories about it. That it came from a hardware store by accident. That it was attached to some tag and I never noticed. That someone dropped it near my keys and it hooked on. I never asked. I never remove it. Because I remember exactly where it came from. The click in my teeth becomes a pressure. The man watches my face like he is watching weather. He says, "You keep touching it when you are nervous." I realize my right hand has slid off the wheel and is gripping the key ring. Thumb rubbing the smooth blank edge. I jerk my hand back like the metal is hot. He laughs softly, not cruel, just amused. You do not have to be dramatic. Just be honest. The horn behind me stops. In the sudden quiet, the click is monstrous, filling the car like a heartbeat. I look in the mirror. The driver behind me is still. Their headlights are steady. I cannot make out their face. I look back at the man. He takes a step closer to my hood, staying in the crosswalk like he owns it. He says, "You want a hint?" I do not answer. He leans slightly, as if he is about to tell me a secret. You keep thinking confession is punishment. It is not. It is the toll. My phone buzzes. You took it from the lost and found. I close my eyes for half a second and the memory flashes anyway. A week ago at work, near the end of my shift, the building is quiet. The receptionist is gone. The lobby smells like mop water. I walk past the lost and found box by the security desk. A cheap plastic container of forgotten umbrellas and scarves and key rings. I see the ring of keys with a blank one. I stand there longer than I should. I pick it up. Nobody is watching. I tell myself I am doing a good thing, that I will turn it in properly later, that I will make a note, that I will ask around. I slide it into my pocket. Later never comes. The next day, I put it on my own ring like it has always been there. I do not know why. I just do it. I open my eyes. The man is watching me with a soft, pleased expression. He says, "See, that was easy." My throat tightens. He knows that small stupid deft. He knows the excuse I make to myself. He knows how I avoid saying it even in my head, how I call it borrowing, how I call it holding, how I call it accidental. My phone buzzes, but I stare at the red light. It does not flicker. It does not change. It just holds. The click lands again. I whisper, "I took those keys." The man cups his hand behind his ear, exaggeratedly polite. Out loud, I swallow. My voice shakes. I took those keys from the lost and found. For a moment, nothing happens. My heart hammers, waiting for a miracle like a trained animal. The red stays red. The man frowns, not angry, more disappointed. He says, "That is not the one." My skin goes cold. Not the one. My phone buzzes. Not that. I stare at the screen. My fingers tremble. Then another message. "Tell him why you kept the blank key." I look at the key ring in the ignition. The blank key catches the dashboard light. Smooth, unmarked, like it has never been used. I remember the moment I saw it in the lost and found. That blankness. That possibility. A key that could be for anything. A key that does not prove what it opens. My mouth tastes metallic. The man steps closer again, his shoes scuffing softly on the painted crosswalk line. He says, "You are almost there." You do not want to say it because then you have to admit you're capable of it. Capable of what? I can feel my pulse in my fingertips. I think of doors. I think of locks. I think of the way my building at work has quiet corners, storage rooms, offices that stay closed after hours. I think of how often I stay late. I think of how easy it is to walk where you are not supposed to if you look like you belong. The man says, "You do not even know what it opens. But you like that, do you not?" His tone is casual, like he is talking about a hobby. My phone buzzes. "You tried it on the basement door." My stomach twists. I see it again. The service stairwell. The basement door with a heavy metal knob. The sign that says authorized personnel only. I stand there after my shift, listening to the building settle. I take out the blank key. I slide it into the lock anyway. It should not fit. It should not turn. But it does. The memory is so vivid that my hand aches as if I am gripping the key right now. I yank my gaze back to the man. He smiles like he is proud of my progress. He says, "You did not go down. You just wanted to know you could." I cannot breathe properly. How does he know? The click is relentless. The driver behind me honks once, a short angry stab, then stops again, like they sense something is wrong and do not want to draw attention. The man tilts his head. "You are stuck until you say what you really did with it." I shake my head. I did not do anything. He raises his eyebrows. "That is a lie." My phone buzzes. "Say what you did at 9:14. My vision narrows. 9:14. I do not want to know what he means. I do know what he means. 9:14 last Thursday. At 9:14, I stand near the basement door. At 9:14, I turn the blank key. At 9:14, the door opens inward and the air that comes out smells like dust and cold concrete. At 9:14, I step inside. The click becomes a roar. The man in the crosswalk is so close now that I can see the fine lines at the corners of his mouth. The ordinary pores on his cheeks. He smells faintly like laundry detergent when the wind shifts. He says, "Do you want the red to go away?" My hands shake on the wheel. I whisper, "How do you know my times?" He shrugs. "You tell on yourself in 1,000 little ways. People think they are quiet. They're not." My phone buzzes again. "Tell him what you heard down there." My stomach turns. I do not want to say that part. I have not said that part to anyone, not even in a careful sanitized story to make myself feel less wrong. I have buried it under jokes and work and sleep. Because down there, in the basement corridor, I hear something. Not a voice. Not footsteps. A click. The same click. It comes from the dark ahead, regular, patient, like a fingernail tapping a tooth. And I back out and lock the door and walk away fast, pretending I never went in. The man watches my face as if he can see the corridor behind my eyes. He says, "It followed you." My skin crawls. I look at the traffic light again. The red is unwavering. I feel trapped between the stranger and the signal and the car behind me and the click inside my teeth. I force air into my lungs. I say, I opened the basement door with a blank key. The man nods. Keep going. My voice cracks. I went inside. The red light does not change. The man smiles a little wider. He says, and I swallow hard. My eyes burn. I heard the click. The click answers me immediately, sharp as a needle. The man looks pleased, like a teacher hearing a correct answer. He says, good. Now the last part. My phone buzzes. Tell him whose keys they really are. My blood feels thin. I stare at the ring in the ignition. For the first time, I really look at the keys that are not mine. They are worn differently. One has a small smear of blue paint on the head. One has a tiny notch filed into the side like a mark. And the blank key, smooth and innocent, hangs among them like a tongue. I whisper, I do not know. The man lifts a hand and points, not at the keys, but at me. Yes, you do. A memory rises that I have worked hard to flatten. The lost and found is not magic. Items do not appear. Someone brings them. The day I take the keys, a woman stands at the security desk, speaking quietly. Her face is drawn tight, her eyes wide like she has not slept. She keeps twisting a ring on her finger. She says she lost her keys. She says she cannot get into her house. She says her spare is inside. I walk past with my badge swinging, and I pretend I do not hear, because the keys are already in the box, because I already saw them, because the blank key is on the ring like an invitation. The click hits again. The man says, say her name. My mouth opens and no sound comes out. The red light holds. The car behind me is quiet now, as if the driver has stopped being a person and become a witness. The man steps right up to my hood and leans down slightly, his face close enough that I can see the reflection of my headlights in his pupils. He speaks softly, friendly. Admit you remember her. My phone buzzes. Say it, and you can go. The click is so loud it feels like it is inside my skull. I close my eyes and the woman at the desk appears, hands shaking, voice thin. I remember her name because it is on the visitor log she signs when she asks security for help. I remember because I look at it. I remember because I still have the keys. I open my eyes. The man smiles at me like we are friends. The red light glows. My throat works around the words. I say her name out loud, and the traffic light makes a sound that is not a click. It is a low heavy thunk, like a lock finally turning. The red goes dark. For a fraction of a second, all three lights are off, and the intersection looks wrong, like a face without eyes. Then the green snaps on. My whole body floods with relief so sharp it is almost pain. The man straightens. He steps back, clearing my lane with polite ease. He lifts his hand again in a small goodbye wave. I press the gas. As I roll forward, I glance in my side mirror. He is already walking away, hands in pockets, unhurried, blending into the night. My phone buzzes one more time. Now return them. I keep driving. The click is gone for 3 blocks. At the 4th block, at another intersection, I slow as the light turns yellow. I freeze with my foot hovering above the brake. The signal turns red. It stays red. On the far sidewalk, under another street lamp, the same ordinary man stands as if he has been waiting there all along. He looks at me and smiles. My phone buzzes. Next confession. The click lands again, patient and bright.